Hello and welcome to Movies, Films, and Flicks. I am Mark Hoffmeyer, and joining me is a man who bought a Toyota Tundra after watching this movie. It's Tom Tresimer. Welcome back.
I'm back.
Yeah, you are back. You've so if you've been listening to the show for a long time, Tom was a frequent guest in what, like 2020, 2021, and then you went back to film sets, and then now we have you back. So we knew you'd be back. You're like the
I,
Terminator. You show up for a little while, you disappear, you come back, you disappear, you come back
I
in a
had to
different form.
I had to replace my neural net processor. It's a new learning computer. Yeah, it's so good to be back. Thanks for having me. It's been far too long.
And you know, I'm glad that you talked. So I just want everyone to know we're going to be moving at 60 teraflops a second during this episode. But I've noticed that you and I like sequels. So we've done, Live Free or Die Hard. Like you and I like to for some reason jump into the middle film or like one of the later films in franchises. But you know what I like about Terminator 3 is I've been looking through Terminator 2, Terminator 2, Judgment Day, Terminator 3, Rise of the Machines, Terminator Salvation, Terminator Genesis, uh, and Terminator Dark Fate. And I've noticed a distinct difference between 1, 2, and 3, and 4, 5, and 6. And that's like 1, 2, and 3 are chase films. They're very simple, like meat and potatoes. 4, 5, and 6, they get in it. Like there's Sam Worthington's popping up. You get fake codes and submarines and Marcus. Genesis has like John Connor's evil. There's multiple timelines. Matt Smith is in there. Dark Fate has multiple Terminators. There's one who can split into two. This lady needs to be saved. There's a Rev 9. Arnold Schwarzenegger is called Carl. Like it's a little bit of a chase film, but it made me think about how much I like Terminator 3 because of the simplicity of the story. Like this is meat and potatoes. You and I both teach camera and lighting and photography, and I always teach my students just meat and potatoes when you get started, just like very simple story, and that's what this is, and I respect it. Like Jonathan Mostow did a good job.
I think that's a fantastic point. Is they didn't overcomplicate it, and I know it gets a lot of flack for not being as good as T2, but I
Oh,
mean,
what
what
is
what is it's one of the greatest action movies of all time. But it's
so
like as a
slow.
standalone film, I think it does really well in replicating what was so good about the first two movies without overcomplicating and just muddying the waters with all this nonlinear time travel, grandfather paradox type of stuff. It just gets right into the story. And as you pointed out, it's a chase film from the first 10 minutes of the movie. All of a sudden you're right into it, and it goes along at breakneck speed, and it doesn't let up.
And I love what you said too. The one thing I do like about Terminator 3 is like I want to stick up for it, but I don't really need to because it has a 6.3 IMDb score. It has a 70% tomato meter score. It made over $400 million in 2003 at the box office. So it was number 7. Like it beat Matrix Revolutions. It beat X-Men 2, Bad Boys 2. Like it was a big movie. And I think, people kind of make fun of it because they're like, oh, the coincidences. He shows up here the same time she shows up there, that they show up there. But that's every Terminator movie. Like there's so many like coincidences in these films.
Isn't
Yes,
that
1 and 2 are better, but like who cares? It's propulsive. Like you don't like, who cares if there's coincidences? Just move it. Like move it forward, keep it simple, and give us some good practical action. And that's what this one does.
I mean, isn't that like every movie?
Yeah.
It's full of coincidences. I mean, that's the convergence. That's how the intersections and the drama happens. Like that's without that, it probably wouldn't be a Terminator movie at all. And I think
Yeah.
it's isn't
Yeah.
that part of like Judgment Day is going to happen. So it's like those convergences in those intersections, like they're going to happen no matter what. So like it's I don't know, in my mind, it's always made sense. Like, oh yeah, well they show up at that time. It's because they have to show up at that time.
Yeah. And yeah, they have to get there. They both show up that time. They have to get somewhere by a time. Let's just go. And who cares if there's some coincidences? And also, like this movie had so much money, Tom. Arnold got 29 million. Jonathan Mostow got 5 to 10. I mean, people are just throwing cash everywhere. Stan Winston actually created robots for this movie. And but I feel bad for it in a certain regards because it came after Terminator 2. It's like Alien 3 coming after Aliens, Predator 2 coming after Predator, Jurassic Park, The Lost World come after Jurassic Park. Not like Jaws 2 after Jaws. Like those movies are the elite. Like they are the best of the best.
Hmm.
And to compare them to those films is unfair because you're never going to recapture the magic. But I think when I remember watching this in 2003, I distinctly remember how much of the Toyota Tundra commercial it was. But I appreciated how immediately went into it. You bring in Claire Danes' character, so they have to explain everything to her, all while being chased, which makes sense. You have one bad robot, you have one good robot, and you have a pretty downer finale that's pretty cool. And you have a ticking clock. So it's just such like it's such a simplistic story. And I think Mostow between Breakdown and U571 understands that. Like U571, the boat explodes, they got to get out of there. Breakdown's just a really simple thriller that's just kind of bare bones. And this one is to a certain extent too. And then also I just love all the imagine working on second unit on this, Tom. Like you and I would have just been blowing up cars for 6 months on this
I
movie.
would have absolutely loved it. I mean, it makes me think of the second unit that I worked on for Fast and the Furious 7, and just nonstop stunts, car chases, action scenes. Granted, I was only on that for a few weeks, unfortunately, before Paul Walker passed. Otherwise, like it would have continued. I would have seen a lot more. It's like this is the type of movie that reminds me of that, like this massive, massive monster second units. And by second units, if the viewers don't fully understand that, it's like sometimes you'll have like these little splinter units, small units where the camera split off, crew splits off, and they go shoot something simultaneously. But like for T3, it's like a full-sized film crew going out and doing these chase scenes, action scenes, locking up roads, shooting up cemeteries and stuff like that. Like it is massive, massive scale.
And just I mean that crane chase, like the amount of cars that are obliterated. Have you ever worked on a second unit and had some iffy moments? You don't have to say the movie, but I've had one where we had a bus and it was supposed to hit a ramp and flip, but the bus somehow hit the ramp in the center of it and just came bouncing towards the base camp downhill. And then the person had to swerve and drive into a ditch. And I remember just thinking like that was that was close. that was that was a pretty gnarly thing that almost just happened there. Have you ever witnessed anything gnarly on second unit or no?
I've had a couple moments. The big one that I can think of was Fast 7 where The Rock drives the ambulance off the overpass and hits the drone.
Mm-hmm.
So like what this was, if I'm remembering it correctly, it was like a cable that pulled the ambulance off. And so it literally is falling off the overpass onto the street. And so we're all set up on the street, cameras down below, and they were getting ready to do the countdown. And all of a sudden we had a couple bogeys enter into like the danger area and we had to like
Oh,
quickly abort. So it's like I don't think anyone was quite close enough to get hit by it, but like debris coming off of that ambulance definitely could have. So that was like a scary moment. And then we had one on another TV show with a boat that was going full speed towards our camera, and this was main unit shooting it, and we did several takes of it, and then the stunt driver decided to get closer to the camera and like cut the boat before they got to us without telling anybody. And so by the time, and he's going like full speed, like 40 miles an hour in the speedboat, and then cuts it hard. And he was like 5 feet away from hitting our camera boat with full of crew with like 25 crew on it. And there were people that got in serious, serious trouble and they would terminate it after that.
nothing on Need for Speed. Was the Need for Speed second unit good or
Oh, we that entire movie was a second unit. So it's like there really wasn't. There was like some splinter crews, but no, that was shot very much like a second. Yeah, a lot of that movie was pretty crazy and questionable. There was some moments in that, and I remember within the first couple of days they actually wrecked their primary picture car, that Mustang. They like totaled that in the first couple of days of the shoot, and that spent several weeks getting repaired.
those are stunt guys directing it, so no wonder that thing was crazy.
And then that was Shane Hurlbutt, who coincidentally was the DP on Terminator Salvation. He was the
Hey,
DP on Need for Speed. So yeah, there's a little 7 degrees of Mark Hoffmeyer and Tom.
I love, I love watching like this movie particularly because I looked up Don Burgess, the cinematographer. This guy's done Forrest Gump. He's Robert Zemeckis' guy. Contact, Castaway. He also did Conjuring 2 for some reason, which I love. Source Code, Book of Eli, but he's done most of Zemeckis' films. Like he shot Polar Express. He did Spider-Man. He did Castaway, What Lies Beneath, Contact. Like this guy has an insane filmography. And then he jumped onto this one. And I guess what I like too is I can't think of one flashy shot in this movie. This is just I'm not trying to insult it, and I don't want to say meat and potatoes over and over, but this is just a movie that's very efficient. And it's like, we're not going to do anything really fancy. We're just going to be very muscular and propulsive. And yeah, like it's like, I don't think, like, there's never a moment in T3 where I go, whoa, but I just watch it. I'm like, yeah, yeah, yeah.
And I think there are moments in it. If we actually watch some like the behind the scenes stuff, there definitely are moments that afterward made me go, wow. But I think to the credit of what you're talking about is everything in it is so subtle. As you said, meat and potatoes. Like you're not sitting there thinking about it, getting pulled away from the story, thinking about camera work or lighting or like how intricate the aesthetic scene is becoming. Like the one thing I that that pops into my frontal lobe here thinking about a transition scene where I believe his name was Scott, who was Claire Danes, Catherine Brewster's fiance.
Mm-hmm.
Spoiler alert, he's been like replicated, like the Terminatrix killed him, and now he's walking to meet her in the cemetery. And there's this really, really sweet shot where the camera is tracking with them, and all of a sudden he morphs, and it's all one motion, one cut, or I should say one long take there, where he morphs and you see like the endoskeleton of the transformer, and then it turns back into uh, the female Terminator. But it's like how complex that shot actually was to set up. They had like 50 yards of green screen
Mm-hmm.
out there, and then they had to put him in like platform shoes to match her height, and then they actually had to like line up their walking stride perfectly, and there was like cadences being ticked off so they could match everything. I mean, it's just like how complex that is, but then within the movie you don't think about it.
It's not flashy, right? You're not going, whoa,
Mm-hmm.
and no, you're right. I do remember that 50 yards of green screen. And then, yeah, because, yeah, Kristanna's huge. So we had to put, or tall. So we had to put, like to make the guy taller next to her. And yeah, no, that was a beast for sure. And then just watching her getting pulled away and like, when they were pulling her backwards and her facial structures and her face couldn't change much. Couldn't show too many
Oh
emotions. So,
yeah.
I mean, just the amount of takes and VFX that ILM and other studios went through was pretty incredible. But they ground it though. I guess that's the best word. Where I don't want to insult it and not say I didn't go whoa, but they just really ground it into just a chase film. It's not. I don't know. I just admire that decision a little bit. I think this movie's not very showy, but it's still a gigantic budget. They had a lot of money, and they used it on screen. But it's not like, hey, we're not wasting the money that we have here. Like we are just making a cool movie. It's a unique one, Tom. Like it's sort of in its own. It's not. God, it's. I wish I could. Wish I was better at explaining things, Tom, as a podcaster. But it's just such a straightforward movie that cost a lot of money, but a lot of it went into the just car chases and effects and like it just looks. I don't know. I dig it. I
In
don't know what I'm talking about.
Schwarzenegger's monster budget,
Yeah, yeah.
his
It's
monster
oh man.
contract of what you said 29 million, which I believe at that time was a record. Now it's as you're saying, it's not flashy. It's big, it's very bombastic, but it's not flashy. So it's like if I'm going to compare this to an NFL team, it'd be like Tom Brady's New England Patriots. Like it's very efficient. They're big. It's a monster team, but then it's not. it's not the Rams from the early 2000s, the greatest show on turf, where they're just blowing everybody out of the water either. It's a very efficiently made movie, fantastic visuals that I still think hold up 20 years later. And they did such a good job of blending that CGI with live action.
That's what you get from getting Zemeckis's DP. That
You,
guy's
you
worked with
get
so much visual effects
yeah,
that
I think of that crane chase and how that might be the greatest crane flip in cinema history.
yeah. And look how many movies have since. I don't know if that was the first movie to do it, but then you watch The Dark Knight, then you watch Fast 9, and that scene has been sort of recreated multiple times. But I love the setup of it too. Hey, there's a manhole. I'm gonna drop this down the manhole, like, or not the sewer, not the like the man. Yeah, I'm just gonna drop it down there, and your thing's gonna flip. Like it's he doesn't he doesn't spin around on like a quadruple 360, do like a double bounce. I don't even know what that means, and then like attach it to something ridiculous. Does that make sense? Like he doesn't attach it to a Ferrari, and then that Ferrari gets attached to a Hummer, then that Hummer gets attached to a Maserati, and then it flips. Like he's like, oh hey, I'm just gonna drop it here, and then your
Oh,
thing's gonna flip.
it's one of those where yeah, it's highly unlikely, but it is, in my mind, that is at least plausible. I mean, it's yeah, he's a computer, a supercomputer. So it's like he sees that manhole covering. His internal clockwork starts kicking in. He does the computations, of course, and then yeah, he pulls that lever and drops the that anchor point in there. And I love how it snags on something deep down inside there, and like you see the spindle zipping out and catches, and then like how it starts cracking all the
Oh
concrete below. I just think it's fantastic. It's
yeah,
such a good scene.
and a good trailer moment too. And it still holds up because real cars are getting wrecked there. Like they are demolishing vehicles. And also too, I was looking at the cast. When you look at the cast on Wikipedia, it's not that big. This is a very small cast, and there's not too many speaking roles. Like you get Dr. Peter back. Like that's probably the cheekiest thing. But for most part, it's just like 5, 6 characters on screen. And you talked about the Patriots, right? We have a new we have a new John Connor who replaced Edward Furlong, which I feel terrible because both Edward Furlong and Nick Stahl had horrible ordeals with drugs. Like Nick Furlong, he's just gotten sober, but he had like a 10-year run where he was just high and drunk on like everything, which is kind of a bummer because I like him a lot. And his performance in Bully still haunts me. And I remember seeing him in Domestic Disturbance and being like, I like this kid. So, they tossed him in there like they could toss in a wide receiver. Then you have Claire Danes coming in as Kate Brewster. She's just the new wide receiver who's going to get 700 yards and like 9 touchdowns. You bring in the
Wasn't
TX.
she wasn't Claire Danes brought in a few weeks into production
Yeah.
too? I believe she
Sophia
replaced
Bush. Yeah.
somebody.
Yeah. Sophia Bush
That's right.
shot for a week and they're like, she's too young. And it's kind of crazy. This movie, like, for a gigantically budgeted film, like you do have TX, she does a scene where she enhances her boobs and the opening shadow thing, but that's in every Terminator. But there aren't any sex scenes in this movie. There's really not too many provocative shots. Like Claire Danes and Nick Stahl talk about smooching in Kripke's basement, but they don't really have that relation, like the scenes from the first one. There's no like tacked on love story. I think that it's weird. Like there's not a lot of sex. There's not like a wild amount of violence. There's, aside from Arnold, there's really no A-listers. And it's just, yeah, but it still made 400 million worldwide based on the IP. And listen, like we've seen enough movies. Like this movie wouldn't have made 400 plus million if people didn't like it. If word of mouth was terrible, it wouldn't have made this in 03. So do you remember watching this in 03 and like what were your thoughts?
I do. I remember watching this in high school, and this was like right around the time in my younger teenage life where anything with explosions was going to draw me in and I was going to watch it. So it's like I specifically remember growing up and loving T2 and then this coming out and being super psyched and excited about it. I remember watching it in theaters and I was blown away. Then again, back then I was blown away just by about anything I watched in theaters. I could have watched like English Patient in there and would have been had the time of my life. But like this type of movie, even today, would be the reason I go to the theaters is to enjoy that experience.
Yeah, it moves forward. It's almost 100 minutes long. It's not long at all. Like with credit, like without credits, it's 100 minutes long. It's in and out. And yeah, I guess I just liked how efficient it was. And I've long thought about that chase scene. And I know people don't like the jokes in this movie, the talk to the hand and all of that, but that's such a small part of a film that I guess I've just never been a big like Terminator guy. I've always loved the movies, but I've never been like, oh, he wrecked the Terminator franchise with that joke. I remember thinking, and then a car explodes. I'm like, yeah. Or then a helicopter explodes through a wall, then another helicopter explodes through a wall.
I mean, you're
So
right. That talk to the hand scene at the beginning of the movie when the T-800 shows up and then him trying on those star-shaped glasses, that really rubbed people the wrong way 2 decades ago. And I don't know if it's because they just had this vision of the T-800 and Terminator and what he's supposed to be. Because it's like you started, and I think a lot of people forget that Cameron implemented a lot of little jokes and little skits in T2, especially with his dialogue and young John Connor kind of teaching him, early 90s lingo, hasta la vista baby and stuff like that. And I think it really got hit hard there and with the audience 2 decades ago, especially the hardcore fans over that, but yet they're not like cognizant of what Cameron did with T2 and those types of little jokes because it kind of makes sense that the T-800, it's like Connor, I think, was much more involved with sending this T-800 back to help him out this time around. And so it's like he would have taught, and I think there's a reference in that in the movie or if it's in the behind the scenes of like how that Terminator remembers some of those events too. So it's like he's already brought up to speed and he's not having to relearn this stuff. And I think it's also showing like the AI, especially the future artificial intelligence of Skynet is growing, that they're picking up on this type of subtle humor and they're able to start showing more emotions than what the robots were in the previous movies.
yeah, absolutely. And you know what else? The humor came from a precocious child and a robot. And in this one, they're adults and they're being chased the whole time. There's really no time to chat, if that makes sense. Like this, and also you have the countdown clock. We got to get to this place. I have to get you safe, or I have to get you here, and then you have to fly here so you can be locked up and survive the nuclear war or the nuclear fallout. So, you do have the talk to the hand. You have a few other jokes, but that's not like there's not as much time for in this one because this one's just go go go. So I don't know. It's I guess those lines. I mean, listen, but also they're not going to be as good as T2. And you know what, Tom? When we watched T2, we were kids, and that was awesome. Like I think most people who watch T2 and love it. I think I was 9 years old when I watched it, 10 years old. That was some of those special effects blew my mind. And just watching the kid, like you get brought in with the kid, and you have badass Sarah Connor, and like that's not something that can be replicated. And I don't think they even tried that here. I just think they were like, okay, we're going to tell a really simple story that makes sense. We're going to lock them in this place, make sure they survive the war. And I don't think it hurts the franchise either. So I just don't, I don't think there's room for as much humor. But for some
I,
reason, yeah, people are like, oh,
I think Mostow did a good job with that, realizing not trying to one up it, but to make something that, as we've continually said, that's efficient, that fits within the first two movies. That it's hard, especially with sequels, trying to get into more backstory. And that's one of the good things with sequels is you've got that backstory out of the way. So then you can just dive into the action. You already know these characters, but it's like there's really small sections of backstory at the beginning of the movie of, uh, Connor's been off the grid for like a decade now, working like odd jobs, construction, stuff like that. And then Catherine Brewster's completely new, but it's like we get a little bit of an idea of who she is, but it's also not so heavy-handed that we're spending so much time with her at the beginning, so we can just get into the chase scene and get into the meat and potatoes of the Terminator stew.
Getting our stew on, baby. But yeah, and also, these are people who are sending. They're in the future sending the T-800 back. So they're sending Arnold back. Now, I know it seems like all of a coincidence, but maybe this happened. Like, so since I know they prevented Judgment Day, but since they went back in the past, this is how things worked out. So I mean, the coincidences are fine because there's time involved and like time travel and like maybe they are in this place and she becomes a major player in it. Her dad is a major player. That means, John Connor, who's a major player in it. Like her dad would have been a major player in Skynet had, regardless of this movie. Like if Stahl was killed, he still would have set Skynet up. So I guess I was never worried about just the small cast and everyone fitting together because it's like, do we really need an extra 15 minutes explaining more things to us? Like, no, just blow up cars, flip some things, really show off Toyota Tundras. I was kind of obsessed with them for a while. And I guess I just never minded because the movie's good. I think, what annoys me is when people get selective about like coincidences in film. It's like there's always coincidences, but people are annoyed at some, but they let others go. So I think you just got to realize it's like you said, it's part of film. Let's speed it up. Let's not waste time. Let's get
And
going.
I mean, the whole first and second movie are based on coincidence as well. Of the Terminator, like the actual evil robot, and then you've got Michael Biehn, Kyle Reese coming back to save Sarah, and then in T2 you've got the T1000 coming back, and then immediately the T800 coming back as well. So it's like those are all coincidences, but yet it's all on a like predetermined timeline. So it's like they know when
there it is
when the time travel is happening, so they can line it up.
Yeah,
I don't know. The coincidences, never bothered me. Sure, there's times in movies where it is really heavy-handed, and I sit there and think about it for a second, but it's 60 seconds at the most, a minute, and then I'm back to the other 99 minutes of mayhem
and this was smart about it. This was smart too, because if you look at most successful rebootfuls that have been coming out in the last few years, so Force Awakens, Jurassic World, Halloween, Creed, I think what they do is really smart. They're essentially remakes / reboots / sequels, and so they keep things familiar. They don't stray too far from the original plot. They bring back legacy characters, and there's some new characters. I think that's where this one succeeds because it's still a chase film. You got to get from one place to the other. It's very similar. There's a robot who is tougher. Like, so it's like the person sent back to kill is always more powerful than the person sent back to save. And so you keep that in play, and then you just build really cool chase scenes, blow up some practical stuff, end on a bit of a downer, and you do a good job of sticking close to the original, but kind of being your own thing. And then you look at Terminator Salvation, which I remember watching it and just going, this doesn't feel right. I don't know why Sam Worthington is there. And they're like, oh, we did it the whole time for you to get close to them so that we could kill John Connor. And you're like, oh no. And just, it's too much. It's way too much. And then you go to Genesis. Don't even get me started on Genesis, Tom. Like I don't like knocking on movies, but you watch that thing and you're going like, what is happening here? Like it really deviates. It's still a chase film, but it just deviates and it goes too unnecessary. And then you get Dark Fate, which I think scales things back a little bit, but I don't know. But you have Arnold, who's been there and he's now named Charlie. And I think they all went a little too different from the playbook. So I think to have a movie that really is successful, and it'll never be as good, but just kind of keep it, don't overcomplicate things when it comes to Terminator. I guess that's what I'm saying, Tom.
No, and it doesn't have to be complicated. As you're right, that's what Salvation and especially I should say especially Salvation first, and then Genesis. And I haven't watched either of those in a handful of years, so maybe I should go back and do that. I've always enjoyed both of those for what they are, but it's not like it's mandatory watching for me if I'm going to watch the Terminator movies. Yeah, like I don't feel like I have to include those, and I actually think that Salvation, unfortunately, T3 were wiped out in the timeline. I think from
They
Dark
were.
Fate, like reset the timeline, and so it's technically Terminator, T2, and now Dark Fate, I believe. So they've wiped out those pretty much the whole middle trilogy, which yeah, it that sucks for T3 because I think it's in my mind it's probably the set big bold take here. It's my second favorite movie of the entire
What's
Terminator
your
series.
ranking?
T2, T3, then T1.
Oh wow. And then how you rank the other three?
Oh man, probably Dark Fate, Salvation, then Genesis.
Yeah, I'll go with T1, T2, T3, and then I will take Dark Fate. Uh, sorry, I don't want
It's
to. And
it's
then,
tough. I think the reason I've got Salvation ahead of Genesis is I do like the feel they went for it. I like, or I should say, I like the tone. I like the super gritty, like militaristic aspects of the movie, like where you start to dive into the war with Skynet. Like I remembered enjoying that stuff. I did like some of the side characters, even though I didn't think they were necessary, and it just made the movie too big and too complicated. But I could see where they were trying to go with it. I think they would have been better off scaling it back and then really, really banking on a sequel to introduce more of those. Unfortunately, they all got crammed into one
Mhm.
giant poop pie, and then I don't know.
I'm gonna go with you. I'm gonna go Salvation, then Genesis, because Genesis is hard for me to finish, and I like everyone involved. It's just too much. It's like bad John Connor, and then there's other timelines, and you just and also everyone kind of doesn't like it who made it, so it makes me want to put it last because the people who made it don't like it.
Man, there's so much talent involved with that too. Like
Yeah,
it's just sad that it fell apart that hard.
yeah. Just and I think Alan Taylor was a great director on Game of Thrones, but I think he lost it a little bit on Thor: The Dark World and Terminator Genesis. I think he's a manager and he's fine on TV, but he just wasn't able to capture like the essence of what those two should have been. And this is real quick, but I just want to throw this back out there because I feel like I didn't make a great point earlier. But also with the Predator franchise, Predator, easy. Predator 2, easy plot. Uh, let's see, Predators, easy plot. People sent to a hunting planet. But then you get to the Predator, and you get a war between predators. You get guys with like the loonies, and then you get another agency, and then you have scientists, and then you have Olivia Munn, and then you have a kid, and then you have a spaceship, and it's just too much. Like, it's Predator. Like you don't need all that. Like you don't need like you can still make it original and not go too deep. So I feel like my least favorite of all the franchises are just the ones that forget that the story's simple.
Oh, and I think that's inherently part of the problem of the sequel is that you want to go bigger, better, and more complicated as you go on because you feel like you've got to one up that first movie. Otherwise, like what's justifying the creation of it? But I think it's a very fine line as we've dived into that you start crossing over, you go in the ditch pretty quick
Yeah.
if you're not staying on the road. But then it's how long can you keep that going? You think of like the Fast and the Furious franchise and ultimately how well they have done lately. They've gotten a little crazy with the plot and the CIA stuff, but it's like a majority of those movies they kind of introduce complicated matters, but then they don't dive into it too much. Like it's there in the background and it's supposed to be just, it gets you thinking, but then they don't want you thinking too long before you hop into something else, into some big,
Mm-hmm.
big action chase scene. But yeah, man, that's the problem with the back three Terminators is that they just wallowed in their own complications.
Yeah, every time they got a little bit more complicated, I'm like, no, you don't like. Listen, that's why James Cameron is such a popular director. I mean, look at Aliens; it's a war film. Look at Terminator; it's a chase film. Titanic's a love story meets a what do they call it? What kind of disaster movie? Avatar is Fern Gully, Pocahontas, Dances with Wolves, but on another planet. The Avatar 2 is Save the Whales. True Lies is just it gets pretty in depth, but it's like a married couple, action film that was highly successful. It was a remake of a French film. I think Abyss is probably his least watched modern movie past Piranha 2 because it does go a little further than most movies with in regards to like plot and aliens and everything, but it's still quite simple. I think James Cameron just knows how to keep a story simple, and that way he can focus on the designs. Like this movie, you don't really have to think when you watch Terminator 3 because you know it already. Okay, you got to go to the mountains. The mountains are there in 50 minutes, so you got to make the Desera on a Crystal Peak, 50 minutes. You got to get here in an hour. We got to go, go, go. You're like, oh, okay, cool. I can just roll with this. This is fine. And I already know
Yeah,
John Connor. But like the other ones, you're like, wait, Marcus is a robot sent by them in an abandoned facility, and then John Connor jumps from a thing into the water to get into a submarine, and you're just going, why is there giant aliens? Why is there giant motorcycle alien? Like you're asking questions during it, and you can't just settle in and enjoy the experience. And I
yeah, and
do like McGee's visual flashiness, but he just it takes you out of the movie. This one doesn't. This one's just like bam, chase
no,
scene.
and again, like Mostow did such a good job of keeping it simple, stupid. So it's like you stay on the road, you focus on what's ahead, and you can go 120 miles an hour to it. You start putting in too many twists and turns, everything slows down, and you've got a chance of going off the road. And I mean, they did a great job of not doing that. And really quick, like I want to touch on like it's crazy that he landed this movie. So as you said, what he had Breakdown in U571 were his big movies before this, and I mean they were successful, but they were not monster films. And I don't think I'd be crazy to say that they probably weren't household name movies either. Prop Maybe Breakdown because of Kurt Russell, but it also wasn't a monster movie at that time. And then U571 has a stellar cast, but it also wasn't a huge tentpole release. And so he ended up landing this. But I mean, I don't know if you've seen the list of directors that they went through
Mm-hmm.
that were in deep conversations to be in this before ultimately bowing out. Ang Lee,
Yeah, he did Hulk instead.
David Fincher, John McTiernan, Roland Emmerich, and Ridley Scott.
Okay, okay. Let me write those names down. How would you rank those direct? Like, which T3 would you have wanted to see the most from all these people? Would you like Ridley Scott? He wouldn't do it at that. He was just off Gladiator. He wouldn't have made this, would he have?
No, and I don't think he would have made it anyways. He seems to want to develop his own ideas or like be there from the conception of it.
Mm-hmm. Like, Ang
I
Lee would
mean,
have gone
could
Hulk with
he
it.
could Ridley Scott have followed in James Cameron's shoes when James Cameron had to follow in his in the early 80s? Like could his ego allow that? I
Yeah,
don't know
that's good.
Ridley, so I don't know. I'm just curious if I'm just wondering about that. I would have loved to see Ridley Scott's take on it. I think it would have been a lot darker than what T3 is. And tonally, I like T3. I like how it plays out. I like the levity of some of the situations. I think Ridley would have definitely kept that dark.
Mm-hmm.
Fincher would have been nuts to see.
Yeah, 100 takes, Arnold. No, I'm joking. Yeah,
I'm
but after
back.
Alien 3, he's not going to go to Terminator 3, or you know what I mean? Like he's not going to go risk that again. I want John McTiernan, right? Because it would have been Jonathan Mostow, but better.
It would have been Die Hard with Terminator.
Yeah, or The Hunt for Red October with
Yeah.
Terminator. Very efficient, well shot, smart, propulsive, moves forward. Very, I'm telling you, very John McTiernan, or very Jonathan Mostow esque, but just better. That's my
McTiernan would have been I mean, he did Predators. I mean, that would have been That would have been a really solid choice if they had been able to drag him in. I don't know if he was facing his legal
Oh
issues
yeah.
at that time, if that's what made him bow out, because I feel like
When was Thomas Crown Affair? Thomas Crown
nine,
Affair, oh,
2000,
99.
99.
Yeah. So I don't, yeah, because he had done 13th Warrior as well. So that was 99.
And then he had Basic in '03.
Oh, so he was doing basic at the time.
I don't know if he was or was Basic after his legal issues. Was that before?
Oh, he did rollerball.
Oh, that yeah, he made a mistake.
How did he make rollerball? That's such a blip. Like how?
That's right.
What?
Bad decision.
But up until that, even Last Action Hero, which I love, like he had a very solid filmography.
And then Rollerball.
Yeah, that must have been a movie for the money. Like, because 13th Warrior wasn't the biggest film ever. So I think maybe he just needed some cash.
Let's see here. Rollerball. Yeah, it's a big movie. 70 million.
Yeah, 3%.
Woof.
Yeah. But I mean, at the end of the day, I just love I really, watching T3 again, it just goes by so quick. So I've been living with it for a little while because we've been talking about doing this for a while. And you can keep watching it. Because you know what's nice? Like Claire Danes tries to fight in the beginning, but then she never escapes and runs away and blah blah blah. There's no like, oh, I hate you, Terminator, I'm leaving, and then he leaves and he gets kidnapped. There's no annoying subplots. I mean, it's just this is like a hangout picture. If this was on cable, you put it on, you're like, oh, I like this scene. Cool, I'm gonna watch it. There's nothing that can really take you out of it. It's quite an easy watch. And I think Terminator 2 is a much more challenging watch because there's really bloody death and extreme violence and it does hurt. So I think it's a way better movie, but it's also a harder watch because this is kind of like a hangout action picture that just sort of goes. Like there's no major deaths. Like her dad dies, but that's not huge. It's kind of a downer ending, but it's a good ending. You're like, oh, I like that.
Oh yeah, and we should touch on that. We've said downer ending a few times, but we haven't explained why it's a downer ending. And we don't mean downer as in like wah wah, like bad. Like it's a harrowing ending. It is essentially the extinction of mankind is how that movie ends. That ultimately Judgment Day cannot be stopped and the bombs do fall. And that is what we mean by a down ending. And it's interesting because the previous two did not end like that. I get the first one is, Kyle Reese doesn't make it. So it's like we are impacted by one of the main heroes characters not surviving to the end, but Sarah Connor survives and she ultimately ends up having a child and humanity saved. T2, pretty much everyone outside of Charlie Morton, not Charlie Morton. What's his
Joe
name?
Morton.
Joe Morton. Charlie Morton's the pitcher for the Braves. Charlie Morton definitely survives that movie. Joe Morton passes, and he's a reasonably big sized character for the back half of that movie. But Terminator sacrifices himself, but humanity lives, the heroes live. And then T3, like everybody dies. Everyone goes. And we get like this really, if anything was going to be artsy in that movie, it was probably that final like 30 seconds of John Connor's voiceover monologue of all the nuclear bombs falling and we see all the explosions, but it's not graphic explosion like T2 where we see Sarah holding onto the chain link fence getting ripped apart. Like this is, Planet-esque outside looking in at everything with his dialogue saying like, the Terminator had it right. This is how I end up becoming the John Connor, I was always supposed to be. And I mean, yeah, it's down. It's bold in that regard that the other movies never went there.
And it's earned though. It's good. Like you like Nick Stahl, you like Claire Danes. They are, I don't know, I like both those actors. And then now they're gonna start their new, but see, you know what though? It's easier to take because it was a successful mission. Like Arnold saved them. That was his mission. right? And so it's like a downer. The world's done, but also Arnold succeeded in saving them, and that was the mission. So you're
Yeah,
not leaving.
it wasn't stopping Judgment Day. It was saving. It was just
Yeah,
saving those two.
and so you're not thinking to yourself, oh, like this isn't a Requiem for a Dream ending. You're going, oh, okay, this is cool. Like I like this. This was neat. And I don't know. What would you give this movie out of 4?
Out of four,
Yeah. If you were
I'd give
Roger
it a
Ebert,
Roger Ebert style, man. I'd give it a 3 out of 4.
he gave it 2.5. He
Half.
likes it out of 4, but I give it 3 just from the sheer. Okay, you and I both worked on film sets. Nothing's easy, but I'm going to say the simplicity of the story and all the hard work that went into making it so simple. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Yeah, I give it 3 just because it's the third film of the franchise. It found a reason to exist, and it's good. It's good. Fine. It
Yeah,
happened.
I'd give it a 3 out of 4. And for all you math nerds out there, that'd be a 7.5 out of 10 for me.
That's fair because, like, listen, I don't think I could give this movie a B
Eh,
plus, right?
Same percentage.
And also, but here's the thing: this movie didn't swing for the fences, so like you can't give it a 3.5. You can't give it a 4. Like it's not a movie that like, it just wanted to be what it is, and so I guess in my book it's very effective, but I could never be like 9 out of 10 or 4 out of 4. I think a solid 3 out of 4 for what it is about as high as I would go.
I think it's very hard for the third movie of a trilogy to ace it. There's very few, if any, out there that would deserve a 4 out of 4 rating. So a 3 out of 4 is good.
Yeah.
And I've always had the outlook too with these types of movies, especially if it's a quality movie. Like I would much rather see it made and enjoy it and have it fall short a little bit than to never have it at all.
Yeah.
So it's like people really, I love Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. I like the newer movies that they made. I've not yet seen the animated. I'm really pumped to watch it. But like the Michael Bay Ninja Turtles, like I enjoyed those, but I also had the perspective of that's the only way I'm going to be able to see the new movies. It's like if they didn't make them, they're not going to get made.
Yeah.
So it's like I kind of feel like that with T3 is like I'm gonna enjoy it because I know what it is. It's Terminator, it's Schwarzenegger. I love those two things. I want to see it, especially if it's somewhere in the ballpark and it doesn't pull a Genesis.
And one
And it
last thing.
didn't.
I like what Ebert says. He said the movie cares so exclusively about its handful of characters that what happens to them is of supreme importance that the rest of the planet is merely a backdrop. But there's nothing wrong with that. You can tell an intimate, like most survival films, 2012 disaster films are intimate. So I don't really find an issue with this being an intimate tale and not worrying about the planet. But he did say something I do like. Is Terminator 3 a skillful piece of work? Indeed. Will it entertain the Friday night action crowd? You bet. He goes, does it tease and intrigue us like the earlier films did? Not really, which I totally agree with. And he said that Hulk is like it it deals with like ideas and personalities, and he said that Terminator 3 doesn't really do that. But he called so I do agree that Hulk swings a lot bigger than Terminator 3, but I don't think that Terminator 3 is what Ebert said and dumbed down. I think it's just you're spending that much money, you can't deviate too wildly. And I don't think Mostow had the auteur sensibility of Ang Lee so I don't think it's dumbed down. I think calling this movie dumbed down isn't a good. I mean, I wouldn't disagree with people, but I don't think this is done. I just think it's a very functional, fun movie. And I've
Yeah,
said
it's
that
the
about 40 times.
I would argue with the terminology.
Yeah, there it is.
It's simplified.
There
It's
it is. Yes, simplified. And it
or
made 400 mil. And it
meat
beat
and
out Hulk.
potatoes.
Yeah. And it wiped out Hulk. So Hulk made 245. Woofda. All
All
right.
right,
So
so
hey,
for those directors really quick that did something else. Obviously, McTiernan made a mistake. Rollerball. Did Ang Lee make a mistake with Hulk?
no, because he tried to push. Remember how much he tried to push the visual effects during the daytime Hulk scenes? Like
Yeah.
he fought hard for VFX, and it did. At the end of it, it's just Nick Nolte versus Eric Bana, and I think he could fall on his sword for Hulk because he swung. So there's no shame in what happened with Hulk. Like he took a gigantic swing. So I wouldn't feel bad for him for that.
Okay, David Fincher, Panic Room. That came out in '02, so it would have been just before this.
Man, that's a really taut, simplistic, good thriller. And I think it helped his camera skills, and I think it helped him sort of recenter and tell a very intimate tale, like that. He kind of got away from his the the satire machismo, making fun of that in Fight Club. So yeah, I think that was a good idea to do Panic Room.
Then we've got Roland Emmerich. I would have to think because he does all of his own stuff. He was probably in pre-production for The Day After Tomorrow.
Yeah, I mean that was a big hit.
That was '04, so I would think that it made more than T3.
Yeah, so he
So
didn't miss out. And there's one more director, Ridley Scott.
Ridley Scott, and he turned it down for Black Hawk Down.
Well, he
So
made the right choice.
I think he made the right
Yeah.
choice too.
Yeah. So we got a great movie. And hey, before we get out of here, I want to do something. Let's do a third films in an action franchise. It can be superhero movies, third films in an action franchise draft.
Boy.
So I'll let you have first pick since you're the guest.
Oh man, there's so many good ones out there.
Yeah.
This could bite me, but I'm hoping for the friendly Facebook voters that they've got some nostalgia for it. I'm going Die Hard with a Vengeance.
Oh, that's a big one. Yeah, I mean, that's John McTiernan.
It's John McTiernan. Yeah.
Oh, I love that movie. And listen to our Live Free or Die Free episode.
Such
Live
a
Free or
good
Die
movie.
Hard. That's what it is. Oh, so I gotta pick a third. Okay. Woof. There's so many good ones. I'm gonna take Goldfinger.
Ooh, okay.
I gotta go Connery Bond.
You're going old school Connery Bond.
Yeah.
Um, man, there's some other good Bond movies. I'm gonna
Mhm.
go. I'm
If
gonna
you
keep
take
it
it,
in the
you're gonna
spy
win.
genre. I'm gonna do Born Ultimatum.
Ooh, that's a good one.
No, I know what you're talking about, and I feel like that's the dagger to whoever gets that is
Yeah.
probably
I'm gonna do Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3. I know it's a sci-fi film, but it just swung away and it had a lot of emotion, and it's just a good movie. I love Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3. So yeah, I'll take that one.
that's a good one. All right, you went a little that's
Big.
newer.
Yeah.
I feel like it's going under the radar. So I'm gonna go even further under the radar, and I'm gonna go Mad Max Beyond Thunderdome.
Oh, all right. Since you were very chill with that pick, I'm gonna take Tokyo Drift.
Nice. I love how we're we're just going.
We're
There's so many like super, super high
huge
end
ones. Well, take them. Take them. Do it. Let's go for it.
trilogies that we could go for. Oh man.
Go big.
Wait, that was our third pick?
Yep. You have two left.
All right. All right. All right. All right. I'm gonna go I'm gonna go monster here. And now I forget what I was gonna say.
I think
Uh
there's two that I think you're gonna pick. Can I say them?
yeah.
Are you gonna go with Last Crusade or Skyfall
I was thinking about it. Ah, man, I just rewatched all the James Bond movies too.
or Civil War or
That's good
Ragnarok?
too. I had another third one. You know what? I'm gonna pivot hard. I'm gonna go Lord of the Rings, Return of the King.
Whoa, that's huge. Okay. All right. So I need to go. I need to go huge here then. Okay. Well, I'm gonna take Skyfall. It's one of the most gorgeous
It's so good.
action films ever made. Roger Deakins is a beautiful, beautiful cinematographer. All right, what's your fifth film?
Such a good one. Man. All right. And then I'm gonna go to the movie that like this might be the death of me here. I'm gonna go Mission Impossible 3.
Oh, that's a good one.
Yeah, I feel like it's got the T3 syndrome.
Do you want to do that next? Because I know everything about that movie.
We should do that. I feel like it really gets crapped on because it's not as in a lot of people's minds it doesn't live up to the first one,
Okay.
even though it blows Mission 2 away.
Yeah. So I've had to watch the whole franchise 4 times in the last since 2017, and I've probably watched them more. But yeah, I used to love 2, but I love John Woo, and there's a lot to like about it. But no, I love it. But I think Well, I'll save it. I'm going to save it for the pod. I have big thoughts about Mission Impossible 3. So I want to save them for you. And I won't say anything for, I'm teasing it. It's going to be a good discussion. All right. My last one is Indiana Jones and the Last Crusade.
Such a good one. That's my favorite Indiana Jones movie
I
too.
mean, you took Return of the King. So I was like, all right,
Yeah,
now the
I was
doors are
going for the win. If I was going with my heart, it would probably be Last Crusade.
nice. All right,
Last
well, this,
Crusade's my favorite of the entire Indiana Jones series.
ooh, we should just do third films and franchises series because there's enough good ones.
You just want to book me exclusively for
Yes.
third
Yes.
trilogies,
Please.
man.
Yeah.
I,
Well,
I I was kind of surprised you didn't snag like. I mean, this is supposed to be more action movies, but I feel like you could have made a good, strong argument for like Good and the Bad and the Ugly,
oh yeah, but you know what?
or like
That yeah, that's a really good one.
Army of
But
Darkness.
yeah, but see, the first two are horror films. The third film's kind of an action. So like I had what Lethal Weapon 3, Rambo 3, Matrix Revolutions, Return of Triple X 3, Return of Daniel Cage, Equalizer 3, Resident Evil Extinction, Aliens 3, Predators, Riddick, At World's End, War of the Planet of the Apes, Expendables 3, John Wick Chapter 3, Civil War, Thor Ragnarok. Yeah, I had a bunch of good ones in here, but I mean,
There's so many good. We'd
yeah,
have to make to utilize all of these. We'd need to do like a 10 team draft.
yeah, 15, and then we would just scrap our way to the last ones. But yeah, this was awesome, man. And I don't want to push you on anything, but I would love to talk MI3.
Yeah, that's got my favorite villain of the entire series. Spoiler alert right there. Little teaser.
Oh yeah, he's good in that movie, and I like Maggie Q a lot. I like Jonathan Rhys Meyers. I don't think they have much to do, but I like him. I think there's some really good humor in it. There's a good ticking clock. I have some fun data for you. I just don't like the whole you have a girlfriend and I'm gonna kidnap her and then you got to go save her.
It gets personal, man.
Yeah, it does. We'll save it. We'll save it. But yeah, this was awesome, man. Thank you for joining me, Tom, and thanks for being back. You'll be
Thank
back.
you. I appreciate it, man. This was a lot of fun. Love talking Schwarzenegger.
It's been too long. We used to stand around on film sets and TV shows talking. So like now we just get to chat about movies again through the internet.
And now we're adulting hard and it
Yeah,
it
yeah.
sucks, but Terminator 3 is bringing us back to our fun times.
That's right. That's right. Well, thank you for joining me, man. All right. So for me, Mark Hoffmeyer, for Tom Tresemer, this is Movie Films and Flicks. We'll see you next week.